Here at HowAI, we like to dive deep into the data. And there's one question on everyone's mind right now. How is AI going to change my job? It's a huge question, touching every single career out there. So instead of just speculating, let's actually look at what the research says the future of work is going to look like.
I mean, this is the big fear, right? Will a robot take my job? And if you're thinking about this, you are definitely not alone. Surveys show that about half of all workers are worried that AI could make their job obsolete. It's a concern that pops up in pretty much every industry.
And that anxiety, well, it's not totally unfounded. Some projections are frankly staggering. Research from places like Sagyati Labs suggests that by 2030, AI could affect up to 800 million jobs around the world. Now, a number that huge is impossible to ignore. But here's the key. Impact doesn't automatically mean replace. The real story is, you'll see, a whole lot more interesting than that.
So, the real question we should be asking isn't if AI will change things, it's how. The effect is way more nuanced than just jobs disappearing. And to really get our heads around this, it helps to look back at a really surprising piece of history.
Okay, think back to when ATMs first showed up. The prediction was obvious, right? Bank tellers are done for. But the exact opposite happened. Because ATMs took over the routine task of counting cash, it suddenly became way cheaper for banks to open more branches. And as analysis from 80,000 Hours points out, the number of bank tellers actually went up. Their job just changed. It became less about counting money and more about building relationships with customers. It wasn't until much later, with the arrival of truly complete automation like online banking, that the number of tellers finally started to drop. This story is the perfect setup for what's happening with AI right now.
This whole situation leads us to a really crucial distinction, one that's backed up by recent research. It frames this entire conversation, really. Because not all AI is the same. It's being built in two fundamentally different ways, and each one has a totally different impact on our jobs.
So on one side, you've got automation AI. The easiest way to think about this is as a substitute. It's designed to do a task a human already does, but maybe faster or cheaper. But on the other side, you have augmentation AI. Think of this as a partner. It complements what a worker does, boosting their abilities and very often creating brand new tasks that didn't even exist before.
And this isn't just some abstract theory, you know. Researchers figured out a clever way to measure this in the real world. They dug into millions of questions that software developers ask on sites like Stack Overflow. By seeing what kinds of problems programmers were trying to solve with AI, they could literally track whether the goal was to replace a human task or to enhance it.
And here's the kicker, the most important finding. These two types of AI have completely opposite effects on the economy. Automation AI, the substitute, tends to push wages down, and it doesn't really create new roles. But augmentation AI, the partner, that's the engine. It's what actually boosts employment and creates a demand for new, specialized kinds of work.
Okay, so if augmentation is the name of the game, what skills does it actually make more valuable? This is where it gets really practical. The answer tells us what we should be focusing on in a world where AI handles all the routine stuff.
The analysis from 80,000 Hours gives us a brilliant framework here. There are basically 4 kinds of skills that become more valuable. First, stuff AI is just plain bad at. Messy, long-term projects that require real strategy. Second, skills you need to actually use AI, like knowing how to direct it. Third, skills in areas where we have almost endless demand, like healthcare or education. And finally, skills that are just really hard for other people to learn, that rare expertise. And what this all points to is a new reality for work. As AI takes over the repetitive, predictable tasks, the uniquely human skills, things like oversight, creative problem-solving, and strategic thinking, they become the new bottleneck. Your ability to set a direction and lead a project becomes more critical and, frankly, more valuable than ever.
All right, so we have the framework. Now let's get down to brass tacks. What specific jobs are bubbling up in this new landscape, and what jobs are proving to be surprisingly tough to automate?
So, what are these new jobs? Well, first up, you have the builders themselves, AI engineers. These are the architects designing the very systems we're talking about. And as you can imagine, demand is just through the roof.
Then you've got let's call them the translators, natural language processing scientists. These are the folks who teach computers how to understand and speak our language. They're the brains behind everything from the chatbot you just used to incredibly sophisticated data analysis tools.
And as AI gets more and more powerful, we're going to need guardians. AI ethics officers are becoming absolutely essential to make sure these powerful tools are used fairly and transparently. This role is all about bridging that gap between wild innovation and our core human values.
And you better believe this expertise is valuable. Salary data from sources like Pangea.ai shows just how much. We're talking significant compensation for these new roles, which just goes to show how intense the need is for people who can build and navigate this new AI world.
But, and this might be my favorite part, it is not all about high tech. One of the most fascinating findings is how resilient skilled manual work is. Plumbers, electricians, carpenters. Why? Well, think about it. These jobs, as a study in the Journal of Future Studies points out, require incredible physical dexterity and the ability to adapt to messy, unpredictable environments. It is so much easier to teach an AI to analyze a legal contract than it is to teach a robot how to fix a leaky pipe in a weirdly shaped, cramped crawl space.
So, what does this all mean for you, personally? How can you take all these insights and actually apply them to your own career path? Let's boil it all down into a clear, actionable playbook.
All right, drawing from great sources like Forbes and 80,000 Hours, here's a 4-step guide. Step 1. Develop AI literacy. You don't have to become a coder, but you need to get how these tools work. Step 2. Focus on augmenting. In your job right now, think, how can I use AI as my assistant? Step 3. Master prompt engineering. Learning how to ask AI the right questions is becoming a seriously valuable skill. And Step 4. Double down on what makes you human. Leadership, strategy, messy problem solving, that's your domain.
You know, the common thread through all of this is you have to keep learning. And as sources like Forbes make really clear, this doesn't mean you need to go get a PhD. There are super accessible courses out there, even non-technical ones, that can give you the foundation you need to start using these tools with confidence.
So let's end by going back to that first question we asked, but let's reframe it. This idea, adapted from the work at 80,000 Hours, just says it all perfectly. The question isn't whether AI will replace you, it's how you'll use it to become irreplaceable. The future of work isn't some wave that's going to crash over you, it's something you get to actively shape. And by embracing AI as a tool to make your unique human skills even better, you shift from a place of fear to a place of real empowerment. Thanks for diving into this with us. And hey, if you want to keep up with what's next in AI, be sure to subscribe to the HowAI channel.